What is going on, Covenant fam? So I know it had been a minute, and I had talked about solo versus co-driving in another video, and then I just never got around to filming it. So my apologies. It's real simple. Like solo, like yeah, you get to be by yourself. You know, I'm going over the pros. You get to be by yourself, only worry about yourself. You have your own space and you can run your truck however you'd like. And you can kind of get into like your own routine and not have to be responsible for anybody else being on your truck. Honestly, I want to say that's probably like the only pro for me, because I am, all about teams. And it's not because, that's what Covenant strives for, or that's how their company is structured. It just really is the only pro that I can think of. I mean, if you guys have other pros for being solo, for my solo subscribers, let me know, because I really can't think of anything other than just having the solace of being alone. So, I don't like the whole solo thing. I've been solo, not by choice, but, when I was in between co-drivers, I ran some solo loads, and that mess is lonely. But I'm like a social person, so like I don't like being by myself, and I like having someone that I can talk to and all that stuff. So anyway, I'll get into that, because to me those are pros for teaming. So back to solo. Like I said, the only pro I can see is that you're by yourself and that you can run your truck however you'd like it, only be responsible for yourself. The cons for me, for solo, is a lot longer. So your pay is less. Being with Covenant, I don't know about other companies, so I couldn't tell you. But because Covenant is structured as a teaming company, that their teams get paid more. So solo, a con is less pay. Another con is you're by yourself. We're meant to be social creatures. The Lord did not put us here to be isolated from everyone. We were not meant for that. You will drive yourself crazy being by yourself all the time. I've actually met drivers in the truck stop and all that, and there were Covenant drivers that I knew or met through someone else, another Covenant driver that they had known for a while or even in relationship with, and they were already in that mode of self-isolation. So they would go into the truck stops and get their food and go straight back to their truck, because they can't be in a social setting. It gives them anxiety because they're so used to being by themselves. We are not meant to be by ourselves. We're meant to socialize, because if we don't have that, we start going in our brains about all the things that need to be done and what we need to do and what we've been through in our lives and all this stuff. After a while, you forget how to interact with other people. So being in public is a complete social anxiety, cluster of emotions that you don't know how to process, because you're not used to being around anyone, and then you start having all these things that you tell yourself. And no, I don't have a psychology degree, but trust me, if you look up self-isolation and social anxieties and all that, and you read what the symptoms are, you'll know what I'm saying is facts. Okay. Anyway, so that's another con. You're by yourself, being solo, and it's boring. Like, it's literally boring. So you have 10 hours that you have to be down consecutive. You can't move. You can't do nothing. You either have to be 2 hours off duty and 8 hours in the sleeper, or a solid 10 hours off duty, or a solid 10 hours in the sleeper, whichever. However it goes, 10 consecutive is what's required by DOT. And you can't move. You can't go anywhere. Your truck is stationary, just like you. You know, I don't know who sleeps more than 8 hours or 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever. That includes shower time and bathrooms and eating and all that other stuff. And it's just not beneficial for you to be stuck in one spot for all those hours for you to get your clock back. So to me, it's just, it's not good. I don't like sitting because I get restless. And again, I've been solo, so I know, how I am during that time period. And it don't take that long to shower and get something to eat. So, and I don't really sleep much. I've said this in plenty of other videos. So I'm up trying to figure out what the heck to do, for the time that I have, that I can't go anywhere. So anyway, so that's another thing, being down 10 consecutive hours, which I consider being stuck because, you can't go nowhere. You can't do nothing. So that's another thing. So less pay, being by yourself, you're bored, and you're stuck for 10 hours. I'm trying to think of what else. You really have nobody to have your back. If you're solo, you're trying to back into a spot or something that's real tough. It's, you have to do it all by yourself. There's no teamwork. There's no nothing. It's just you. It's just you and your truck, and then that's it. That's all you got. So I don't like that. Just me personally, I don't like solo. Okay. But if you do and that works for you, then great. I'm glad that you are able to be comfortable in what you do, and not have issue with it. But I will say this last tidbit about solo is that if that's what you prefer and that's what your area is, Covenant will not be for you. Like, if they have open slots on their solo lanes, then you might get lucky. But because we're a teaming company, like, our lanes are for teams. So if you're solo, like, you have to be on a dedicated that they've geared or engineered for solos. And then again, your pay is going to be a lot less. So you can't complain when other drivers are making more than you because you chose to be solo. Like, you're not going to make what teams make. You're just not. It's not fair, and you can't do what teams do. So to the teaming, whoop whoop, that this is what I prefer, because I've mentioned in solo portion is that pay is up there. Having someone to communicate with, to hang out with, to talk with, to go to lunch with, to go to dinner with, to go shopping with, like, having that team effort of, well, I wouldn't say effort, but having that team support. Let me put it that way. Having team support. So if we were to be in a situation, you got somebody that has your back, you got a constant witness to anything that is, super serious or dramatic or whatever, or I should say drastic. I can't get my words together this morning, but anyway, you would have that at all times. And then your truck does not stop moving unless you're switching out or you're on your dot break, which means you're making money. You're literally making money while you sleep for 8 to 10 hours instead of you being stationary for 8 to 10 hours. Like, while your co-driver's driving, you guys are gaining miles. And because we split miles and not pay, which a lot of people feel it's the same thing, it's really not. If you do the math and you make the same cents per mile and you split the miles, then obviously it's the same. Or if you were to get a higher cents per mile and split your pay and not the miles, it's literally the same thing. Drivers have done the math. It's the same. What makes Covenant different is that your co-driver may not make the same cents per mile as you. So I would rather split the miles at my cents per mile, and if they get a less cents per mile, then let them make their money and I make my money. So if your co-driver makes 52 cents, which nobody makes 52 cents, I think the starting within Covenant as a team is like 62. I think it's 62 or 64. I'd have to look at the scale. I don't memorize it offhand, but let's just say 64 cents, right, is what your co-driver is making. But if you make 74 cents, would you rather split your cents per mile, or you'd rather split your miles? Because your miles are multiplied by your cents per mile. So I would rather get more money. If my co-driver hasn't had as much experience as myself, I'd rather get paid for my experience and what I have done and what I know versus, splitting the cents per mile and making it completely even across the board. I'd rather the miles be even and my pay be higher than my co-driver, or us to break even and be paid the same cents per mile because we both have that same level of experience. So I'm going off on a whole different tangent, but it's not the same thing, okay? Within Covenant, depending on what your tier is, determines what you get paid. So anyway, I'd rather get paid for my co-driver driving. As long as your truck is moving and it's gaining miles, the more miles your truck gains, the more money you're going to make, right? So when you're sleeping or in the back or you're off duty, whatever, and your co-driver's driving, you're making money. And it's the same thing when it's vice versa. When you're driving and your co-driver is relaxing or whatever, guess what? You're both making money. So, it's a no-brainer for me that teaming is where it's at. And as long as you have the skills to, be able to team properly, you won't have any issues. So your truck is constantly moving. You have someone to socialize with and be like, that's your buddy on your truck. And then you're not sitting. You're making money constantly. You have someone to socialize with. You have someone to be there to support you, to back you up, and all that other stuff. So teaming to me is great, but that's because I can team. So those that struggle with teaming, here we go in with the cons of teaming. Okay? You might have trouble teaming because it's difficult to find a co-driver, a lasting co-driver, because so many people are turned off from teaming because things don't go well, because other drivers aren't honest with them. You've got drivers that are inconsiderate. You have drivers that are just completely disrespectful. So it starts to harden, drivers, because their co-driver, they've probably had a horrible, bad experience, and they're like, I don't want to keep going through this. So because they're forced to team, because we're a teaming structured company, then their attitude shifts. So when their attitude shifts and they go to team with someone that's never experienced teaming and is in a position that they were once in before they got turned off to teaming, therefore you guys are creating, or I should say drivers are creating a negative effect to teaming because they're changing people's perception of what it is to team. So let's put it this way, because this is why I don't really like talking, because it's hard to visualize certain things and then it sounds confusing. So let me put it to you in an example. So I'm new to Covenant, I'm new to teaming, so I'm like super excited. I'm gung-ho, like, yeah, I'm gonna get a co-driver, I'm gonna make some money, you know, this and that or whatever. I end up getting a co-driver that has already been through 4 co-drivers, right? So now they've already had it, okay? And I'm co-driver number 5. And I'm excited. But the co-driver approaches me and they got attitude. You put your stuff right here. Don't touch my stuff. I mean, of course, they use in other words. I'm driving days. You're going to be on nights. I've been on the truck longer. This is my truck. You know, just complete jerk. Or witch. Whatever, however you want to call it. It could be a female, it could be a male, or whatever. So now I'm looking at my co-driver like, okay, well, I mean, did I do something to you? Because, you know, you're kind of acting like you're upset at me or like you don't want to team with me. And they'll be like, no, it's just like, I've been through this plenty of times. It's stupid. I'm over it. I really don't want to do this, but I don't have a choice. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. And if I do something to you, just let me know. And I will try my hardest to stay to myself and just not bother you or anything. You know, and maybe we can make this work. That is a horrible way to start your co-driving journey with this new person, because now you've just showed them that they don't mean anything to you, that you could care less whether they're on your truck or they're not on your truck. And that is not something you want to do, because now you've created an awkward space and you've created for them to have doubts, and now they're uncomfortable. Now they don't know if they want to team with you because they're walking on eggshells not to set you off so that way they don't have problems. So it creates this weird space of like, okay, well, I didn't do anything to this person, but obviously they've got a chip on their shoulder that they just don't even want to be here. Now I don't even want to be on the truck. So if the situation would have went differently, like, let me see. Okay, I'm new. And this is my first co-driving experience, and I'm super excited. And the co-driver you're going to be teaming with has had 4 co-drivers. So co-driver number 5, right? I approach, you know, hi, my name is, you know, so-and-so. We're going to be teamed together, and I'm super excited. If you were to approach them and be like, hey, how's it going? You know, my name is so-and-so. You can place your things here. You know, I would rather prefer to drive days, but it's okay if we split it. But, you know, I really don't want to be on nights. But, you know, however our clocks work out, then we'll just have to run it that way until we kind of get into the groove of things, okay? Oh, okay, that sounds great. Well, I'm still kind of learning, you know, how hours of service works, but, you know, if you don't mind helping me with that, then maybe we can kind of get into, you know, a routine of how to do things. Oh, okay, sounds great. Do you need anything from Walmart so that we can go and stock up before we get hit the road? Do you need me to show you anything in the Qualcomm now? How long have you been driving? All this stuff. So you ask questions. Your approach will be a lot different if you didn't have a bad attitude about it. You have to know coming into team driving that it's going to be difficult. As long as you have that, like, okay, team driving is, different. It's not for everyone. The attitude you have towards what you have to do in a structured program, company, workspace will completely change how you approach people and certain things within your job description. So we have to team. So anyway, that co-driver will be more open to teaming with that new co-driver if their attitudes were on the same level. Open. You don't have to be super excited, but as long as you have a nice tone and you're not being possessive with the truck, if you are letting them know, certain things, you're helping them, you're guiding them, they're new. And if you've been in this, you want to kind of become a mentor to your co-driver, especially if they're new. Not only to benefit them as a new driver and to help them gain experience and be a good driver, but because you are experienced more than they are, you want to make sure that you're teaching them so that you can be safe. Because if you don't teach them and you feel like, oh, okay, you made it here, you got your license, you should know what to do, and they run into a situation and you want to keep things separate and you don't want to help them and you want to do your own thing and only worry about yourself as if you were a solo driver, if you get into a wreck because your co-driver didn't know what to do, that's both of your fault. One, because they should know, but it's different from class book work and actually being like in the school learning things, and then to turn around and actually be in the truck. So if you want to survive and you don't want to have any accidents or incidences or whatever in the truck, you need to make sure that you guys are on the same level and you know the same amount of things, okay? It's better to help than to be in a situation because you wanted to have an attitude and all this other stuff. So anyway, I ended up going into a whole different teaming thing. But I think teaming is a better choice. And again, not because I'm all for covenant and all this stuff, which I am, but it's not for that. It's because it's better. It's better in so many ways. And I believe that's probably why they geared towards teaming, because they knew the benefits of teaming. Okay, not just from a company standpoint, but also from a driver standpoint. Like I said, you have someone on the truck with you. So in case you get into a situation or anything like that, you have someone to help you out in backing, breakdowns, anything that you could, a problem could arise from. Okay. So I think teaming is the thing to do, but not everybody's gonna feel like that. So to me, solo versus team driving, teaming is always gonna win for me. Solos, I appreciate what you do, I really do, but some of you guys you're kind of losing it in social realities, because when you come out and you're in the world of people, if we're in the same space, I'm gonna smile at you, I'm gonna say hi, I'm gonna talk. I'm, again, a social person. You can kind of tell who's solo and who's not solo. Because solos, if they've been solo long enough, they will act a certain way, and you'll be able to tell that they've not been in a social setting or circle in a really long time. So I just hope that you guys are kind of maintaining a balance of how to be around other people. But yes, teaming to me is the best way to go. Okay. If you guys have anything to add to that, then be my guest. I'm open for all of it. I really do want to know what other pros drivers have for being solo. So please drop those down in the comments so we can have a discussion about it. And if you agree or disagree or have different views or points, or want to tell me co-driving experiences that you've had previously, that you probably had some whacked out co-drivers, and yeah, I get that, I understand, but those stem from solo drivers becoming team drivers without knowing how to make that transition. So I really think that there's a way to kind of teach certain drivers how to be around other people, and again, I don't have a psychology degree. I don't do none of this. It's just, I treat people how I would want to be treated, and I am fair. So a lot of people feel that, there's always going to be a winner, there's always going to be a loser, or, not looking at it in terms like that, but just, not everything's a competition. Let me put it that way. Not everything's a competition. And so it doesn't have to be one driver's better than the other, right? There is a way for both of you to be just as good. So as long as we have that understanding and that mentality, it's possible to team and not have this competitive, oh, I gotta know more than you, or I'm older than you, so you don't know what you're talking about. There has to be some point of being humble to know when you don't know something. It's okay. That's the whole point of you learning, and just you being older, your age is older than mine doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I don't know what I'm doing just because I'm younger than you. So let's get out of this, kind of I know everything attitude, and kind of take a step back and learn a little bit. If you don't know, it's okay not to know. Nobody's going to think you're stupid or dumb. It's just, you haven't come across that yet. You haven't learned that yet. So maybe the person that's trying to teach you, you were meant to meet them so they can teach you. Obviously, if you hadn't learned it yet, then nobody else was qualified to teach you what you are trying or need to know now. So it's different ways to look at certain situations, and I feel a lot of people are always going to feel judged if they don't know something, and we can't see it that way. We're always learning, we're always being taught something different. That's where that saying comes, you learn something new every day. You do. Sometimes you learn something new multiple times a day. So that's my solo versus team video. Hope you guys understand. drop your questions, comments, concerns, and we will talk about it. So until next time, guys, bye.